To all of those organizations, all of you that have participated in FINOLAB's FINOPITCH, I congratulate you on your creativeness, your innovation, and your persistence. And I hope this is the start of something incredible for you in the ecosystem in terms of growth. Remember one thing when you're thinking about this in the future is that the future of the financial services space, particularly in the retail banking space, is with the technology and the creative design, experience design, and application of machine learning and artificial intelligence. It's radically going to redefine financial services, and you guys are on the front line. So continued success and well done on your participation in the FINOPITCH. Ultimately, from a structural perspective, COVID has accentuated the issues of financial inclusion more broadly. And so, COVID has affected lower to middle income households in developed economies much more significantly than it has the richest, 10% of the economy. And so it's really drawn attention to the fact that financial inclusion and digital inclusion are really critical, fundamental elements of a modern society these days. If you're going to have access to education for your children in the future, healthcare services and so forth, you need digital inclusion. If you're going to have access to financial resources in the future, you need financial inclusion. That may be dependent on digital inclusion or, for example, identity frameworks. And so I think it is identified the fact that if we are going to continue to digitize, we need to fix some of these fundamentals. And, we've seen an acceleration of a digital adoption also. So the other message is if you're a bank, working in this space and you've been slow to transform your business around digital, then, increasingly you're going to find a disconnect between, where the market is heading, where consumers are heading and the business. So the way I say this in the book is, banks who rely on branches so branches won't disappear, I say, but banks who rely on branches for revenue will disappear. You need that mix of digital revenue and physical, physically driven relationships, to compete. If you haven't made that transition as a bank already and you don't have, like near 50% of your revenue across digital, you're going to have some challenges ahead. The one thing sort of very interesting is I finished, I published the book obviously in late 2018, early 2019. So it's been a while now. It's been a couple of years. But I think what's really key is I talked a lot about the emergence of Ant Financial, Ant Group, Tencent, WeChat Pay, the mobile wallet ecosystem that we see around the world. So Kakao in South Korea, Paytm in India, etc. And, what has happened since the book came out is, of course, that, we now see double the volume of transactions and the amount of, mobile payments, double that of plastic cards around the world. And so that's a pretty big shift that's just occurred in the last couple of years, where you see in entire markets, discretionary spending has shifted to a mobile wallet over a plastic debit card. Now, that is one area that I'd really, I think, focus on a little bit more if I was to write the book again, is that, once day-to-day discretionary spending shifts to a mobile wallet, your day-to-day bank account is essentially now on your phone. And while I've been talking about that, it's that experience side. It's what that means in terms of the changes around how you access credit, how you do your savings. That shift is we're seeing that accelerated, as a result of the shift to mobile wallets. So I think that's the big trend. Again, I would probably get people to focus on is that this is not a future thing. that is happening in 10 years' time, that we're seeing this happening before our eyes. And, you now have to change your mindset in terms of the role the bank has in people's lives, unless you're integrated on that day-to-day basis with a sort of a cloud-based wallet, right? Just as you saw after the Great Depression or the Great Recession in 2008, financial recovery for people, is going to be critical. And so, we're going to see a lot of tools emerge to try and differentiate the services of one bank platform from another around this element. So financial wellness, helping me save money, helping me understand, when I need some support or access to credit. But the old days of airline mile rewards, or cashback, built into your credit card, those days are really over, because in the future, if you're encouraging me to spend, then I think that will be perceived by, Gen Zs and Gen Ys as, negative impact to their overall financial well-being. And so instead, you're going to need to give, your customers tools that will help them save money. And this is at the heart a sort of a fundamental restructuring of financial services, because you're not going to be able to rely on high sort of rates of credit, interest, and things like that. Net interest income is going to be low. So it really the potential for change in terms of the banking model itself is pretty big. So maybe we'll move something more to like a subscription model, like Amazon Prime, and and within that you have or Netflix as an example. And within that, you're given the tools to, access credit when and where you need it. But most importantly, day to day, your bank account will be helping you save money and get financially healthier. And I think that's where banks are going to be sort of putting their hand on their heart and saying, we're trying to do the right thing by our customers by helping you get financially healthy. And I think that's where there's sort of going to be a line drawn between those that are still very product focused and trying to sell you, high cost credit versus those banks that are saying, let us help you recover from the financial effects of the coronavirus.